Ron, I think this is your 15th trip to Australia. It's a long way to come. What's the appetite that professional businesses have for the message that you share with them? What are the things that they're most interested in hearing about from you?
Pricing, and I think to some extent too. I mean, pricing gets a lot of play because that's the hottest topic right now. But also, I think the whole knowledge economy and knowledge worker idea is very powerful.
And when you talk about pricing, what you're talking about is moving from a mechanism that you just charge for your time or charge as a percentage of assets under management, charge for something that's a fixed formula rather than charging for the value you create for clients or charging for the intrinsic value of what you do. Is that when you think about pricing, is that how you think about it?
Yeah, because I think price is determined ultimately by value, right? And value is very subjective because if I'm in the desert and I'm about to die from lack of water, a bottle of water is going to be priceless. If I'm home washing the dog, now it's got a lot less value, and if I'm flooded in my basement, it's got negative value. Well, if you think about it, it's the same water. How'd it go from infinite value almost to negative value? Cost accounting can't explain that. Supply and demand can't explain that. A lot of things can't explain that. The only thing that can is value is subjective. So that's where we need to start. We need to understand, is the customer in the desert or are they flooded in their basement? And then we need to give them options that are commensurate with that value that we can create.
That's when you say options, that's one of the things, certainly in my experience, it's been hard to wrap my mind around in terms of why it's important to offer options. Why is that?
Because we humans love choice.
Is there a point at which, though, you can give too many options, too much choice?
I think so. I think 3 is the optimal. It's called Goldilocks pricing. Most people pick the middle option because it's the safe one, right? The cheap one's probably lousy quality. The most expensive one's got too many bells and whistles. I'll be safe and pick the middle one. But I think that giving people choice is what they want, so they can make their own price-value trade-off.
One of the things that the VeraSage Institute talks about a bit, and our chairman, John Chisholm, also talks about in terms of options, is make the option how people will work with you rather than whether they will work with you. And how did that idea, what was the genesis of that idea, and how have you seen it manifest itself?
That actually comes from behavioral economics. When you put 3 options in front of a human brain, the question becomes not, should I work with Catherine? It's, how should I work with Catherine or your firm or whatever? And that's just how our brains fire and work. And that's all grounded in selling psychology and behavioral economics. And it's really powerful.
In your book, Implementing Value Pricing, one of the charts I really liked was this sort of value equation where there's a value sharing that goes on between the professional and the client, and making sure that there's a equitable sharing of that value between the two. How did that idea arise?
Partly that the world isn't zero-sum, right? When we engage in a transaction, both sides walk away winners, which is why there's always that nice double thank you moment. The barista hands you the coffee, says thank you, you say thank you. Why do we both say thank you? Because we both think we're profiting. And indeed, we both do. The only reason John and I bought a $4 coffee downstairs was because it was worth more than $4. How much more? It doesn't matter. Because if it was only worth $4, I could have stayed in my room and made a cup of coffee for a dime or for free. So I only bought it because it was worth more than $4, and that's my profit. So it's a misnomer that accountants have foisted on the world that only businesses make profit. No, consumers make profit too.
And do you think professional services practice are receptive to that message, that it needs to be value sharing?
I think a lot of them are, absolutely, yeah. But I think for some, it's an open eye, OIC moment, or BFO, blinding flash of the obvious moment. For a lot of them, it's, wow, I've never thought of it that way.
You're mainly based in the US, but it seems like you travel around enormously. Are there different trends that you're seeing in different places around the world, or is this a global phenomenon that the idea that we need to be more responsive to what our clients need, that's something that's happening everywhere?
I think it's global. How good it's executed, we can debate different countries on that, but it's definitely a global thing.
Well, I've absolutely loved spending time with you, so thanks so much, Ron.
Thank you, appreciate it.